Today, we're going to dive into the 4 signs that it's time to do a rebrand. I invite you to grab a pen and paper and come listen.
Welcome to the Behind Her Brand podcast with your host, Kimberly Spencer. Every week, join Kimberly and her guest for inspiring interviews with passionate business builders, corporate leaders, and catalysts of change. Plus, we will be sharing business and career building strategies and tools that you can use to grow. So let's dive into today's episode.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Behind Her Brand podcast. I am your host, Kimberly DeShields-Spencer, and I want to welcome you. If this is your first time joining us today, thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope that you gain some really great information today on branding. So we're going to talk about 4 signs that it's time to rebrand. And I wanted to talk about this because here's the thing. With the way things are changing so much in all different industries, constantly changing, if your brand is the same as it was even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, this is definitely the podcast that you want to listen and consider if you should make some changes in what you're doing in rebranding. Rebranding does not mean that you have to uproot every single thing that you're doing. It doesn't mean that you have to change every single thing about your brand. A lot of times when it comes to rebranding, it's more of a refreshing. It's refreshing the look and feel. It might be refreshing the content. And we're going to go through 4 different areas here. But I want to make sure that I set the tone because oftentimes when someone starts talking to me about rebranding, instantly overwhelm comes into play. They start to feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to do another website. I don't have time to do a new logo. I don't have time for all these different things. And I just want to make sure to level set it immediately. Rebranding doesn't mean you have to change the whole brand. Okay, there are a couple of different ways that you can rebrand, and I'm going to share these couple first before we get into the reasons to consider rebranding. You can simply change the look and feel. For example, if you've been sharing information one particular way and one way only, maybe consider adding another method. For example, if you've been blogging and that's all you've been doing for your main source of content sharing with your audience, consider adding video to it, video blogging. That one small twist can also be a form of a rebrand. People will say, oh, I'm used to you always writing, so now you're doing video. Cool. Maybe, for example, you've had the same logo and maybe the logo fit how you were in the beginning. But as you grew, your business offers different things, different services. So maybe the brand, the look and feel needs to be reflective of that. That's a great time to rebrand. Or another way to rebrand, I should say. Another way to rebrand is by colors. Okay. Oftentimes when we start one particular way. And as you grow your business, you start shifting, you start changing, your team grows, your audience changes, and maybe the feel, the look doesn't fit where you're going. So you change it up aesthetically. So those are some small little twists that you can do. Again, doesn't mean you have to upload the whole cart, but switching colors, the look and feel, maybe adding another mode of communication. Those type of things are very easy and quick ways to give a refresh to your brand. So let's go through the 4 ways that you know you should rebrand. First and foremost, you should consider rebranding when your repeating customers are no longer becoming customers. Okay, listen to that very carefully. Oftentimes we can have people that repeat, but when that starts slowing up, and they start realizing that you're not the solution they need anymore, it's a big indication that they're no longer growing with you or they've gotten everything they need to get from you. But if this repeating client base, and I'm going to add another caveat to it, typically repeating clients typically also will refer people to you. If those 2 areas are slowing up, that's a big indication that maybe it's time to rebrand. So what should you rebrand if that takes place? Rebrand your customer experience. Okay. If people are not wanting to re-sign up or they're not referring anymore, check your processes. Make sure your systems are running smoothly. Make sure that the experience is still the same one that, well, I should say same one, but it's still good and valuable to the person that's working with you. It's a big indication when you're not getting leads, you're not getting referrals, you're not getting those different things or engagement that, okay, something is amiss. The next thing, whenever you want to rebrand, oftentimes it comes when you're at a point of, okay, maybe you have a good stable business. Maybe things are flowing really well, but you're ready to go to that next level. And you know that you need to increase your prices. You know that you need to increase the different offerings that you have. It's a great way to rebrand at that point too, when you're ready to scale up. How do you do that? Look at your content, look at your information, and this is where you educate your audience and sharing with them that we've been doing this for so long and we love our community, we love the work we've been doing all together, but now we're looking to add some different areas of growth to our company. And so in doing so, our rates are going to be increasing effectively, and you give the date and time. By educating them why that you're increasing, but also offering additional value is a great time whenever you're trying to rebrand. Okay. Now, let me say this also with that, because I get asked this question too, as a caveat to this one. When do you know to increase your pricing? You'll know to increase your pricing when you yourself, if you're a solo company or if you have a team, when your expertise, when your experience grows. You're not going to have the same rates as year one as you would in year 5 or even year 10. So as you grow your expertise, your value, your experience that you're offering to your clients, your prices are going to shift along the way. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when you do that, if you ask, okay, does it have to be a rebrand? It does. And again, remember, rebranding doesn't mean uploading everything. Rebranding can also really mean communication, sharing with them, this is where the brand is growing. This is what we're going to be doing. And here are some other offerings that we're going to bring into the plate. Okay. Now, here's another area whenever you want to rebrand. This is going to sound a little strange, but I think many of you guys would be able to relate. When you find yourself no longer engaged in your own business, when you find yourself kind of bored with offering the same thing, if you find yourself kind of bored having the same conversations, and if you think, oh my gosh, like, can you really get to that place? I can't say the statements for everybody, but there are some of you, and I see it through some of the questions and the feedback that we get, that I just feel stagnant. I don't feel like I'm growing. I don't feel like I'm enjoying what I'm doing anymore. I just kind of feel like, sometimes when you get to that place, you might need to refresh what you do. You might need to look at, okay, what is it that I'm building here? You go back to the basics. You go back to looking at, what is it that I want to build at this place, at this time, in this season of my life? And ask yourself those questions. Is what you have in front of you what you want to continue building? And if your answer is yes, then go back to what I shared earlier. Do you need to refresh your offerings? Do you need to refresh your content, your communications, maybe the colors, whatever it might be? Do you need to do a refreshing on your brand? Okay. The other side of that too, if you find yourself bored, if you find yourself not engaged, well, maybe the audience that you were attracting at one time, that you were teaching, that you were engaging with, maybe your audience is a new audience now. It's okay to say, you know what, this brand worked for me when I first got started, or for the first few years, 10 years, 20 years, but now I want to rebrand and become something different. I no longer want to do this here. I want to do this over here. Now, I'm a park right here for a quick second, because again, this is something that I get a lot in our feedback. And let me give you an example of how this might look. When I first went into marketing and branding, I was working with professional speakers. And so when I say work with them, they weren't doing any of their marketing and branding. I was doing it all. I was booking them. I was doing their contracts. I was doing their logistics. I was handling even press for them. We were also handling distribution of their books and products and everything. We were doing everything for them. And so I was making sure that their business was running smoothly. We had a very small team. We had 45 speakers. Now, to some, our business was very successful. But for me, I did not feel like I was offering my best self, because I was doing everything for them. And so they had no clue of any of their own processes and marketing and systems for their own business. So I decided to do a rebrand and say, you know what? This model here isn't working for me anymore. I started finding myself getting really burnt out, not excited about the work anymore. And here's the funny thing about it. My business at the time was incredibly lucrative. Okay. And that sounds crazy, but it goes back to that old adage that all money isn't good money. I was making great. I was on retainer with all of our speakers, plus getting commission. Okay. Because we were very blessed to be really good at what we did. But I was miserable and I did not enjoy the work that I was doing. So I decided to change the model. And in doing that, I created a different side of the business, and I let go of the speaker business. And I said, I'm going to open up a marketing and branding firm called U Impact. And I want to show people how to do this. I want to show them how to seek engagements. I want to show them how to do their own marketing and branding. And so when I rebranded, yes, it was a little bit of a chaotic season there, chaotic meeting that many people were like, oh my gosh, no, 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 I want you to do it. But I knew for me, I needed to rebrand. I needed to refresh what I was doing so that I can feel good again about marketing and branding. And when I did that, I have never looked back since. It's been 2 decades now and I have not looked back. And I absolutely love what I do right now. So I share that with you, that that's another caveat when you find yourself in that place where you feel like, okay, maybe I need to do something different. You may not leave the industry per se, you're just doing something different within the industry. Okay. So here's the last and final. If you find that you created a brand and you find that you created this content and this information and it is landing flat everywhere you go, no one's engaging, you're not getting any calls, you're not getting any inquiry, you're not getting nothing. And you're thinking, okay, I thought this was what I was supposed to be doing. Obviously, that's a very huge indication that your brand needs to be rebranded. And oftentimes what happens in that space when you're not getting any engagement, any calls, any leads, anything, it typically lies in your copy, your marketing copy. And we'll do another podcast on that specifically. But your marketing copy is what communicates to people who and what you are. It also communicates to them the solution that you offer for them. So if your copy isn't talking to your audience, is it not, if it's not engaging your audience, is it not, if it's not, I'm sorry, like tongue twisters there, if it's not causing them to say, you know what, I want to reach out to them because they feel like a company I want to be aligned with. Or maybe you're sharing information that makes them feel like, you know what, based off of what I'm reading, I really believe I can actually do this. If it's not causing any kind of reaction, any kind of emotional connection whatsoever, then yes, you need to review your branding in that particular sense of the marketing copy. Okay. So you may find yourself in one of the four. Maybe you need to reshift completely the direction. Maybe you need to change up your copy. Maybe you need to look at, okay, am I growing with my audience? There are so many different reasons to consider rebranding. But I'm going to say this overall. Please don't rush into rebranding. Please don't rush into, okay, let me quickly make a quick fix. Think through what you want to build. Think through what you want to attract. Think through where you're trying to take your business in the next couple of years. And then go through your branding and ask yourself, okay, do I need to change my content? Do I need to change my approach? Add another layer, like I mentioned about if you always blog, add in video blogging. Do I need to change up the colors? Do I need to change up what I'm communicating? That's when you start doing that information once you're very clear on the direction that you want to take your business brand. Until you become clear, until you are sure what you want to offer, I would not dive into any changes yet. Okay. So these are the 4 areas that I would definitely encourage you to look at when you're thinking about rebranding. And I will end on this note here. I'm a big believer in that every few years, you should always look at your brand, period, and make sure that you are growing with your audience. You'll hear me say this probably so many different times throughout the different podcasts, because to me, right now, and I know this to be true, if you want to keep being relevant and grow and build and be that solution to your audience, you have to be mobile. You have to be growing. And I don't mean mobile like in terms of technology. I mean growing, moving, always inspiring the next conversation. Excuse me. Offering great content, offering great solutions, causing people to think. All these different things need to be in place to continually to grow and to keep building your audience and to create people wanting to be engaged with you and refer and connect and all the different things. So you'll probably hear, like I said, that in many podcasts I share, because I know for a fact, if you want to build a profitable brand, an effective brand, one that people enjoy being connected to, it's important to make sure you always make sure that you check in with what it is you're building to ensure that you're growing and to ensure, more importantly, that your brand represents where you are at the different stages of your own personal growth. All right. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, I always share, please reach out. If you have not visited us in a while on our respective platforms, I would love to invite you to visit us at www.behindherbrand.net. We're also on Facebook at Behind Her Brand, and we're also on Instagram at Behind Her Brand with a slash at the end of Behind Her Brand. So I invite you to visit our platforms, get to know us, connect with us, and continue to share your feedback with us. Thank you so much. And again, have a wonderful day.